Hello everyone, and welcome to iReadit, bringing you your daily dose of the internet for Monday, October 2nd, 2017. I'm Michael Schwan.
And I'm Nathan Wood.
And please remember, everyone, you can help support our show by going to patreon.com/dailyinternet. In addition, we do go live Monday through Thursday on Facebook at 6 p.m. Alaska time. Other ways you can help is, of course, just follow and share the show on all social media. And, of course, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play, and anywhere else that podcasts are found. Nathan, how are you doing today?
Tired as shit. I hate today.
Yeah?
Is
it because it's Monday?
And I just got an invitation by my mom to watch iReadit.
That's even better.
No, today sucked because we were missing about half of our crew members.
Yeah.
And we were so goddamn busy in the middle of the day, and I got so many earfuls from people who I gave them the wrong number because we ran out of tickets.
Okay.
And so I had to write them on sticky notes, but when I have 8 people talking to me at the same time and I'm trying to write sticky notes down for people, I'm gonna mess up, and I'm totally gonna fucking write the same goddamn number on like 4 or 5 stickies.
I believe it, sure. Yep, my Monday was equally confusing and frustrating. My employers are quite confusing of what they want, and really they don't know what they want. So one day they'll say, we want this done this way, and then literally the very next day they'll say the opposite. So that's fun.
That's cool. That's good.
No.
Yeah, no, that's great.
It's quite
right?
suck and ruins productivity.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive, actually.
I don't believe you.
I'm sorry.
I'm kidding. I'm just fucking with you.
I know. I have no responses. All right. Shall we just get started then?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
10.
Lil Wayne refuses to go through security check and skips his own concert.
This is submitted by Scum and Villainy to R Not the Onion. That's a good fucking Saga Edition book. But, yeah, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he refused to pass through a security check at a South Carolina arena, and because he refused to go through, he had to skip the concert. Just because he didn't want to do what everyone else had to do, including the other artists that were performing there.
He has the right to refuse, I guess.
Well, the people are being refunded their tickets, so that's good as well.
Good.
And the other performers whose names where'd they go? Anyway, the other performers would continue to do their sections of the show.
So at least people got to see part of the show.
Yeah, where did the...
It's kind of shitty that you didn't decide to go through security, Lil Wayne, but, I mean, that's really your choice.
Who knows? He was maybe just really high and was just like, nah, man, I'm not going in there.
I mean, a lot of times people get really obstinate when they're famous.
Sure. The rest of the show went on with entertainers 2 Chainz, Tory Lanez, and Cardi B.
I know 2 Chainz.
Yeah, I know who 2 Chainz is. I don't know who those other two are, but I mean, they must be doing something right if they're performing with 2 Chainz and Lil Wayne.
Sure, yeah, no, they must be fuego, lit, yeah,
if you would.
Yeah.
9.
Oh Jesus, hit way too many buttons.
9.
Samsung expected to return Samsung expected to earn $4 billion more making iPhone X parts than Samsung S8 parts.
This is submitted by Stereo Match to our Android.
It's interesting how this is phrased, by the way, because they wrote it in a very specific way. So, if you don't know, the majority of new iPhone parts, especially with the iPhone 8 and really the iPhone X, are made by Samsung. And with that, what it is primarily that we're looking at is that the OLED screen, so if you've ever held a Samsung S7, S8, the newer ones that have that really smooth glass and really nice touch displays, those are OLED screens, and the new iPhones are going to have those. And the only people that make those and make them well and can make them en masse is Samsung. So iPhone is going to be buying their parts from Samsung, which sounds funny at first until you realize that they've been trading parts back and forth for the last decade.
It's actually common practice.
Super common practice, especially when they're reliant on one another, because competition really helps businesses.
It's actually weird how that works and how some business owners don't understand.
So in this case, though, with the current analytics is that Apple is expected to sell 130 million iPhone X units over the next 20 months. 20 months is the average lifespan of actual sales for a new phone, because at that point then there's already been 1 year of new additions, and that's when the two generations forward is about to come out. So that one starts to come really heavily drop in sales. Now,
Right.
Samsung will earn $110 on each iPhone X that is sold by the parts that they sold to Apple. They earn $202 on their units that they put into the Samsung S8. Now, the Samsung S8 is expected to move 50 million units, 130 million units. Math comes out to where they'll make substantially more on the iPhone X, the parts that they sold. The interesting thing here is they're completely comparing the parts. So the parts that they sell for the S8 versus the parts they sell for the iPhone X. Does Samsung not get any additional cut when they sell an S8 beyond just the part profit?
I don't actually know.
I feel like they should or would, because it's their phone.
But this article is specifically talking about the parts.
Yeah, which seems odd to me, because I feel like they're trying to push the narrative that Samsung's going to make more money off the iPhone X than they do their own phone, which I don't believe is necessarily true.
I doubt it, because you're going to be charging more than just the parts price for a Galaxy S8.
Right, and you earn more money than just what you made on parts. But also, companies are sometimes segmented into different sections, so the parts section of Samsung might be earning more from the iPhone X than the iPhone S8, but Samsung, as the company as a whole, probably profits more from the S8. I would think anyway, but I don't know.
I would also like to point out that Samsung is selling these parts to the iPhone, to Apple, and they're marking it up slightly. They probably aren't marking up their own parts for their own phones.
Probably not. Well, it depends, because a lot of companies are broken into shell games of, like, where you have to buy parts from yourself, from a different section of yourself, so you can do something. It's
so
weird.
You're just moving money around. Yeah, I get you.
It's like if you've ever been to a car dealership, the parts, the service, and the sales are all completely separate entities that normally have their own entire budgets and everything. They're completely separate, even if they're in the same building.
Yeah, no, I guess that makes sense. I don't know. This just seems like a really poorly written article.
It does, and it is a little bit, especially because I've never, I've heard of MacRumors.com, and they're purely focused on iPhone, Apple stuff. But at the same time, I also don't know why it's relevant, but the internet seems to think it's important. I'm not going to lie.
The internet thinks a lot of things are important that really aren't.
That's fair, and I'm not going to lie. I really, really want an iPhone X.
Yeah, that makes one of us.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind an S8.
You have an S7 Edge, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
8.
Egypt reportedly ordered 30,000 rockets from North Korea in a $23 million deal that was foiled by the United States.
This was submitted by Theobetes to our World News.
Theobetes. So these are rocket-propelled grenades, RPGs, not actually like full-on ballistic rockets or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
But they got a tip-off. The United States Intelligence Service got a tip-off regarding this trade deal that was apparently supposed to happen even while North Korea is underneath these sanctions that have been placed on them for quite some time now. They intercepted a rusted-out freighter that underneath piles of ore where the rockets were covered in tarps and trying to be hid amongst the ore.
Huh. So they were just really shittily hidden?
Pretty much, yeah. Well, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that it was they were that poorly hidden. We just got intercepted it essentially. It was a Russian freighter that had Cambodian colors that was chugging towards the Egyptian Suez Canal. And when we got the warning, we intercepted it, searched it, and found the 30,000 rocket-propelled grenades.
It feels kind of weird thinking that, not everybody else in the world also hates North Korea.
I think there are people that are just too excited to take advantage of a situation.
That's fair. There are definitely businessmen around the world. Even in non-capitalistic countries.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
I don't know how I feel about this because I guess the UN said that we shouldn't be purchasing things from North Korea, but I don't really care if Egypt purchased 30,000 rockets from North Korea.
I'm also curious what that equals. 23 million divided by 30,000. That's approximately $766.67 per grenade. That's expensive. But
I don't know. That's a fucking grenade, dude.
I was like, but at the same time, I imagine that's actually pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Either
no,
way.
I'm kind of indifferent about this. I don't really care.
7.
Tesla wants to build special charging stations that sell food and coffee.
This was submitted by Mavia to our Futurology.
So with the...
Is this for their cars?
Yes, and with the influx of Tesla motor vehicles around the world, especially in the United States, right now Tesla has about 500,000 pre-orders for their new Tesla Model 3. That's their reasonably priced model, the one that's $35,000 to $44,000, depending on how much special stuff you want in it. So, about the price of a normal vehicle, unless you're buying, something a little bit cheaper. And it's supposed to have a decent range and all these things, and because it's a good price, it's a fully electric vehicle, people are like, yeah, I want those. So they have a massive amount of pre-orders. Now, Tesla has been installing their charge stations, slowly but surely rolling them out across the country. It takes approximately 30 minutes to fully charge the vehicle, which, compared to, several hours, is not that bad. And they try currently to place them near establishments that have like food or some form of entertainment or at least coffee or something like that, but it's not always that easy. Now, Tesla is currently talking about building what they're calling mega superchargers, which is a really weird ass thing to call it. And this
mega superchargers, I fucking dig it.
Yeah, so this article calls them mega chargers.
It's not like a regular charger. Regular chargers take, hours.
Yeah. So
superchargers take, minutes.
With their
mega superchargers should take like what, seconds?
Maybe, sure. I don't know. I would like it if it only took a couple minutes, but 30 minutes. We're getting there. The technology is growing,
especially with those glass batteries soon.
But what they're talking about is Tesla essentially. The easiest way that I could think of this is think of a Sonic drive-in if you live anywhere in the lower 48 and aren't up here in fucking Alaska, where you pull up, instead of having a little order machine right there, you plug your car in, and then there's a restaurant there that has maybe some places to eat, a little bit of coffee, a little mini mall, just a little space for you to hang out and enjoy and relax for 20 or 30 minutes while you charge your car and then you leave. Now, they're also discussing, are they going to partner with somebody, partner with Amazon or Starbucks? And the current consensus is probably not, because Tesla is such a vertically oriented company that they want to control all aspects of their company from the top to the very bottom. That's why they make their own parts. That's why they make their own vehicles. Everything has their name on it. So in the interest of keeping control over everything, the current consensus is they will start to build these. They don't know what they're going to be called yet, but they will provide things like food, restrooms, amenities, a place to hang out for about a half hour while your car charges, and then you're on your way.
Damn, Tesla brand food and coffee.
It'd probably be really good.
I think I would dig it. I really want to try the Tesla coffee more than anything.
Yeah, people are always trying to figure out what they call it. Musk's blend? Elon's blend?
Oh, dude, the musk of that blend must be fantastic.
It's a pun!
Why would you do this to me?
No.
That's fair.
6.
O.J. Simpson freed after 9 years in jail for armed robbery.
This was submitted by Dr. Sultan to our news.
This dude just makes a lot of bad decisions. O.J. Simpson is now 70 years old. He was famously cleared back in 1995 of murdering his ex-wife. I mean, that was the trial of the century, as they called it. And
if the glove does not fit, you must acquit.
Right. And the lawyer that got him acquitted is currently living right outside of Enid, Oklahoma, where I grew up. So power to that. Massive house, because he made tons of money off of that case. Anyway, 9 years ago, he went to jail because he committed armed robbery, breaking into this hotel room where a ton of sports memorabilia was being held. And after the trial, all of it ended up being given to him because all of it legally belonged to him. People just weren't letting him have it. Now, he went to extremes to get it, which is why he got in trouble. The max sentence was 33 years, which was what he was charged with, and that's what he was sentenced for, was 33 years in prison. But after 9 years, he went to an appeal. Was it an appeals court? I forget what the actual a parole board. That's what I'm looking for, and managed to get out after only 9 years.
Nah, that's pretty fucking lucky of him.
Yeah, considering
he must have been doing some really great behavior.
Well, 24 more years would have made him 94.
If he can make it that long, I would be, astounded.
Yep. But so O.J. Simpson walks free.
This way he has to pay his own medical bills.
Problem. Well, maybe. Who knows?
The dude's 70. I think... Okay. I think the murder, we shouldn't have let him go on, right? But in this case, he was sentenced to, 30-something years?
33.
33 years. He served 9 of those. That's almost a third, not quite a third. But the dude's 70. I feel like usually if someone's old enough, if are in prison long enough and are fairly old, you should just let him out. Like, why should he be stuck in this prison? I don't know. I feel like why should they be stuck in that prison while they're 90-something for something that they did in their 40s?
The only thing on that is that we are going to be talking about Vegas in our number 1 slot. I'm not going to go into any details about that beyond that the shooter was 66 years old.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. I don't know much about the Vegas thing.
That's fine. I'll be giving you plenty of very upsetting information regarding the entire thing later. So,
okay.
I mean, just because they're old doesn't mean they can't be violent.
That's fair. But like if they've been in there for a while.
Nathan in the chat room says, "You're right, Nathan. Just kill him."
Nathan in the chat room? No, Tim says, "You're right, Nathan. Just kill him." I'm for it, right? Let's just murder them all outright and then take their body parts and make Soylent Green. That way we're solving 2 problems. We're solving overpopulation in prisons on top of solving the world hunger issue.
No, man. Them gays will solve the world overpopulation problem.
I'm all for that, too. Let's have more gay sex everywhere.
5.
White American men are a bigger domestic terrorist threat than Muslim foreigners. I can speak English.
This was submitted by Baron Trump 666 to Our Politics.
So, several people have taken to trying to figure out what is the actual threat level of different people, because the media likes to really portray how dangerous, especially with our current presidential administration, how dangerous people from the Middle East are, anyone from Muslim origin, especially those that practice Islam. And
people like to divide people.
People like to divide people, but the thing that is being realized, or at least that these different organizations are trying to get people to realize, is that Muslims are not the largest threat to America. The largest threat to America is itself, really. I don't want to take a side on this, but the data shows that the majority of the people that are committing these heinous acts are white men that are rather right-wing.
Go figure.
Domestic terrorism collected on the data by both the Reveal and the Center for Investigative Reporting, as well as, what was this other one called? Where'd it go? A New America, which is a nonpartisan think tank that operates out of Washington, D.C. From 2008 to 2016, there were right around 200 domestic terrorism incidents. And across those, approximately just shy of 120 of them were executed by right-wing individuals. Just over 60 of them were by Islamists, and just under 20 of them were left-wing individuals.
I kind of agree with Tim here, though. It's domestic terrorism versus regular terrorism. He goes on to say, it's like saying American criminals are killing more Americans than criminals.
Sure. That makes sense. And I understand. Well, I guess it just depends on how you want to interpret that.
We can also compare the amount of domestic terrorism that we've had compared to actual terrorism. I guess domestic terrorism is actual terrorism. Just the amount of domestic terrorism we've gotten compared to terrorism
on American soil.
Yeah, on American soil, and then compare ethnicities, I guess.
Either way, most of the mass shootings that have occurred, especially recently, have all been carried out by white dudes.
A lot of them, yeah, at least in America.
I mean, Sunday night was... Oh, I'm sorry, he was 64 years old, not 66. It was a white man that opened fire on Vegas. Again, we'll talk about that later. Just back in August, we talked about the Nazi sympathizer that sped his car into a crowd. That was a 20-year-old white guy. Back in June, a 66-year-old white guy who went and shot at the Republican Congress members when they were practicing baseball.
Which I will point out, that man wasn't right-wing.
Which one?
The one that shot the Republican.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So we're not saying that it's always right-wing, just predominantly.
And that's just what this data says.
Mm.
I mean, it doesn't really show where they're getting this data, but I mean, I'm probably without, just looking at news sources and just incidents across, I'm sure there's some sort of catalog of those things. So it also gives you the number of actual acts and the number of acts that were foiled. So I'm just going to say about 116 right-wing acts that occurred, about 76 of them actually occurred. The other, 40, 50, whatever, were foiled. In terms of Islamic domestic terrorism, about 18 were successful, and the other, 40, 55 were unsuccessful. With left-wing domestic terrorism, 18 were successful and 2 were not. So, I mean, if you could also, swing that another way and be like, well, the left-wingers are a lot better at getting the job done.
Oh, God. And I'm bad at making jokes.
Yeah. No, I'm terrible at making jokes.
I feel like this is a issue of I guess it's not really an issue. It's showing data, but I feel like we should stop focusing so much on that and focus more on people.
Yeah, people stop killing people.
Yes.
Please.
No matter what your ethnicity or your religious beliefs, because this is exactly as Tim said, Americans killing Americans.
Yeah, sucks.
That's fucked up.
4,
Catalan Referendum. So, Nathan, just go ahead and give us all the submitted buys because we're going to be working our way through this.
All right, it's submitted by Steve JEO to Our World News, submitted by Legendary to Our World News, submitted by Casa Clock to Our World News, and then it was also submitted by Adirei to Our Europe, and then it was also submitted by Spartan 2600 to Our World News.
So we've talked previously about the Catalan referendum. What Catalan is think of them kind of like a county within the country of Spain. They are a province, however you want to describe it, however you need to make that comparison. They have their own government. They are considered autonomous, which means that they are allowed to function on their own without the Spain's federal government getting involved.
It's also where Barcelona is.
It is also where Barcelona is. It is also an extremely rich area of Spain. A huge amount of money goes in and out of that place. What Catalan wanted was because they do not like having to answer to Spain, and because they have enough money and power to stand on their own, they were pushing for an independence referendum. Now, they had been pushing forward towards getting the vote established. The vote was to take place yesterday, October 1st. Before that occurred, federal police from Spain went in and started trying to seize as much of the election material as they could, ballot boxes, ballots. They also arrested several, I think it was about 15 of Catalan's government, 15 high-ranking members of Catalan's government.
Damn.
Now, regardless of that, Catalan still fought for it and attempted to go forth with its referendum vote, and it got messy. Because by Spain's constitution, it is illegal for any of their provinces to declare independence. Period. There is no avenue for you to secede from the country that is Spain. Period. It is not allowed. You are not allowed to do it under any circumstance. So with that, what they're doing was illegal. Now, what Spain does in response to this is that Catalan continue to start setting up ballot boxes. People start pouring in to put in their votes. The pre-vote poll had roughly showing a 62% voter turnout rate, with 83% of those voters voting yes. The actual turnout rate was about 45% of registered voters, with just shy of 90% of them voting yes.
Jesus.
Right. So now the problem is, though, when they went out to vote, riot police issued from out of Madrid, Spain, started just literally beating the shit out of people, shooting people with rubber bullets, trying to seize ballot boxes, literally ripping stuff out of people's hands, beating them to the ground, basically inciting a federal riot in order to quell the vote.
Yeah, that's not good. It doesn't show your people a good favor.
No, it doesn't. And while it was illegal, you could have just declared the referendum null and void. You didn't have to be like, all right, waste your time voting. Okay, you voted. Congratulations. It means nothing. You're still part of us.
You're still part of us.
Instead, they took an extremely extreme and violent route that has now led to massive criticism around the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a couple arguments I've heard for this is like, so like the EU Commission, was like, hey, we're not recognizing this as a split. And, the one thing I heard about it was, someone arguing that they accepted the splits of the USSR. Why shouldn't they split here? I'm like, well, I mean, the USSR was kind of not working at all for anyone.
Well, the other thing is, the EU basically said we're not going to get involved. It's an internal matter for Spain, which I suppose is fair. But at the same time, when they're like, the amount of aggression that was opened onto these people was unnecessary. To the point that Maduro, the president of Venezuela, where there have been riots and protests happening for months over their bad and corrupt government, sent out a public message saying, "Who's the dictator now?" to the Spanish president.
Oh, that's fucked up.
It says something when you have someone from a country whose entire people despise them saying, "Man, you're worse than me." And it's like, oh, shit.
That's fucking crazy. Even Maduro. The only other things that I would like to hear, or the only other people I'd like to hear chime in would be like Putin.
That'd be funny.
And Kim Jong-un. I think that would be hilarious.
Well,
this is a sticky situation because, like, I want people to be happy in their country, and if they're not happy in their country, they should be allowed to leave. I guess mass exiting a giant chunk of their country is frowned upon over in Spain, but I don't know.
Well, the reason, in my opinion, the biggest reason that Spain doesn't want this to happen is because such a huge amount of Spain's money goes in and out of Catalan. Because
specifically Barcelona.
There's approximately 7.5 million people in Catalan, and it's also where Barcelona is. There's so much money there. It would be like Miami saying we don't want to be part of Florida anymore.
It's like, no, fuck you.
Right.
We actually know somebody who's in Barcelona right now.
Well, real quick though, the difference is that Catalan has its own borders, has its own government, has its own language.
Mm-hmm. Catalanese or something?
No, it's just called Catalan.
Oh.
Anyway, what were you about to say?
We know somebody who's in Barcelona.
Who's that?
Heather. She's vacationing as of, like, last Thursday.
Your supervisor?
Yeah.
Cool.
I thought it was funny that she decided to go and visit Barcelona right when this happened.
Well, I mean, we're Americans and dumb.
Yeah, that's fair. Are you calling Heather dumb?
No, I said Americans are dumb.
How dare you?
No, I said Americans are dumb.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. We all are.
Yeah. Now, the thing is that with a 42.3% voter turnout, which is very high in places that do not require you to vote. I mean, in the 2016 presidential election, we only had something like, 31% turnout in America of all registered voters. So, pretty darn low. They had a 42.3% turnout. As already mentioned, they were just shy of a 90% vote for yes. So the Catalan president, their leader, I can't pronounce his name. I'm sorry. I'm not even going to try. Said that opens the door for them to declare unilateral declaration of independence, a UDI. But they still can't, not legally. And Spain has already warned that if you don't cut it out, we're going to suspend your autonomy, which means that your government will be replaced with the federal government.
I think this is going to start getting bloody soon.
I think it's going to get real messy. And I mean, it's already getting messy. I mean, hundreds of people are injured from all of the crap that happened in terms of the riot police trying to quell the peaceful voters.
Yeah, this is going to get way more out of hand because those peaceful people are not going to stop wanting their independence, and Spain's not going to stop wanting them to shut the fuck up.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes from here. We will keep you updated, but that's where the situation stands right now. There's also something like 750,000 ballots that were lost to the Spain's federal police. So
I see.
That said, you can equate averages of that 90% of those probably say yes.
You can theorize. You can hope. It would make the Spanish government really have egg on their face if they were all no votes.
3.
Apple now sells a $35 iPhone dongle with a headphone jack and a charging port.
This is submitted by I Love Anachronisms to Our Gadgets.
Rolling on to that criticism about not having a headphone jack. Now, one thing to point out is that this is not Apple making a dongle for you. This is actually produced by Belkin, and it is sold through Apple. And it is a $35 craptastic adapter that allows you to plug in a lightning cable into the bottom and still be able to plug in a charging lightning cable and a 3.5mm headphone jack. Now, these phones come with a very small little, it's super small, super lightweight little dongle that'll let you plug in headphones. And it's pretty painless in terms of use. This thing is huge, massive, and heavy and doesn't bend. It's literally like a stick that you shove into your phone.
That's really awkward if you're shoving it in like your pocket or something. It can bend when you move.
Yep, exactly.
That's how a lot of my headphones get destroyed.
That's fair. So yeah, if you desperately need to be able to charge your iPhone 7 or higher in terms of model while listening to music at the same time, don't buy this and just go buy Bluetooth headphones like everyone else.
At the same time, I feel sorry for all of you who don't have a 3.5.
You know, really, like, I was like, you know, I'll see what happens. If I get upset at not having a 3.5, I have Bluetooth headphones. I never even noticed that I don't have a 3.5mm headphone jack.
I see, my problem is, I don't think having the 3.5mm jack really makes the phone that much thicker. Like, I don't honestly think that it was a problem.
I don't think it was either. I think it's just Apple trying to modernize. And that's all it is Apple trying to be different and unique and modernize.
Just waiting for the day they decide to go, you know, something way sillier to take out altogether. We're going to take out the vocal aspect of phones, and now you can only contact each other and call each other with facial recognition.
Perfect.
2.
Trump dedicates golf trophy to hurricane victims. Go ahead and read both of those submitted by.
It was submitted by Ian Anthony Kane to R Not the Onion, and then it was also submitted by So Helrana 835 to R Politics.
So, yep. In a quote, on behalf of all of the people of Texas and all of the people, if you look today and see what is happening, how horrible it is, but we have it under really great control, Puerto Rico and the people of Florida who have really suffered over this last short period of time, I want to just remember them. And we're going to dedicate this trophy to all those people that went through so much that we love. A part of our great state, really part of our great nation.
Well, let's dedicate a trophy to these people instead of actually sending more aid.
Like, yeah, anything in terms of supporter resources.
Oh God!
This is the presidential equivalent of my thoughts and prayers are with you. Oh, you need actual help? That's too bad, but you have my thoughts and prayers. I have a trophy that's dedicated to you. I have one. Don't worry.
That's fucking awful.
Yeah, so much so that when he made the announcement and continued to talk, someone screamed, "You don't give a shit about Puerto Rico!" as he was talking through this. And, yeah. Jesus. Like, why, guy? Why? Okay. All right. So now to the really, really, really unfun one. Extremely unfun. Not excited to talk about this.
1.
Active shooter at Mandalay Bay Casino in Las Vegas.
This was submitted by Moon Emoji to our news. Also by Aikato to our news.
So what this is, a lone gunman up on the 32nd floor of the Las Vegas Hotel Mandalay Bay began opening fire at a 22,000 people concert. It was a country concert featuring Jason Aldean, who was on stage when the shots broke out. Reportedly, the gunman had somewhere around 10 firearms that were completely ready to go. He had two windows that he had busted out and proceeded to move from one window to the other, to the other, to the other, and rained fire down for approximately 5 minutes straight.
Oh, that's fucking crazy.
Endlessly launching bullets at 22,000 people that were literally trapped in a concert, venue that was outside.
How many killed? How many injured?
Currently, we know that there are at least 59 people dead and more than 500 that have been injured.
That's got to be bigger than like anything else we've had.
It is. It is the largest mass shooting in America's recent history.
Fuck.
The problem here is that, well, one, he had a lot of bullets and people were basically in literally fish in a barrel. Two, panic immediately broke out, and what happens is if you trip and fall, it's like when you
get trampled.
You get trampled to death.
And it's like okay, I hate to compare it like this, but it's like Season 6, Episode 9 of Game of Thrones, The Battle of the Bastards.
Sure. It's also like why you're not allowed to scream fire in, any crowded place.
Crowded area, yeah.
Because it causes people to panic, and it causes people to get hurt. Now, in this case, it wasn't a joke. There was a ridiculous number of people that were attending there. So, yeah, and the thing that made it even worse is that people didn't know what was happening initially because they're outside. It's Vegas. There was a concert going on, loud music, so people thought it was like the speakers cracking because that happens sometimes when there's, interference with the cables, or people thought it was fireworks or something like that. And then they realized what it actually was, especially because once Jason Aldean, the singer that was on stage, realized what it actually was, he bolted off the stage. Which I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all.
I don't blame him at all. That was a fucking smart move.
So the gunman has been identified. He's a 64-year-old man. That is all I am saying. I do not need to give you his picture or his name because fuck this guy. Currently, there. Go ahead.
Did he get apprehended?
He killed himself before he was apprehended.
I mean, there's that.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's not alive anymore, so that's a thing.
19 rifles.
No. It was approximately 10 weapons is what they said. Now we have not been told which weapons.
I misheard then because I'm using the shitty headphones because my good headphones were in my jacket pocket. My jacket pocket, I don't know where the fuck my jacket is.
That's fair. No, the information we've been given is he had approximately 10 firearms, but we don't know what kind because they just haven't released that information at this time.
I agree with Tim's sentiments. He says, there's no way to prevent this. It's the hardest thing. There's no defense to it. Even when you know that what is going on, there's nothing you can do because he's so far away. Right.
There is no way to do anything about it. We have one listener in the chat room, Gabby Dennis, that says, gun control is the solution. No 60-something-year-old man would be able to shoot if he can't get the guns in the first place. Regulation is key. Like that has worked in some places. Japan has extremely strict gun control, and people are like, well, they'll just get them off the black market. Well, a gun on the black market in Japan is like $15,000. So like the cost,
and not 15 yen like American dollars.
Yeah, so the cost alone will help prevent people doing random acts of violence. That said, this guy apparently already had a lot of money. He had 10 guns and a mountain of bullets. And
so I want to say that it's not that it will prevent violence. It will prevent gun violence.
And it'll prevent as much, I guess, is what they're trying to look at. I mean, and it also worked for Australia. Now, the thing to note about this is when we talk about, yes, gun control was successful in Japan. Gun control was successful in Australia. Australia had one of the worst mass shootings in history. And the Australian government said, no more guns. We're taking them all away. And Australia went, fine. Okay, I guess. There's not a whole lot we can do about it. America, there are more guns in this country than there are people.
Each one person has but is like 5 guns worth of in the grand scheme of things.
The other thing is that Americans are extremely attached to their guns. I do believe that there should be more gun regulation, but I feel like guns should be treated kind of like your vehicle, of like it needs to have identification and you need to renew that identification. And if you sell it to anyone, you need to have paperwork that says who you sold it to.
And you need to take a test in order to use them.
But I don't think you should have guns taken away because, one, that's never going to happen in America. And two, I mean, what, really, like seriously, like at what point is there? It's not going to happen. Like, I understand why people think if we just get rid of all the guns, no more mass shootings. Well, that's not true.
Okay, so you might have less mass shootings, but you'll have a lot more mass stabbings and mass.
Yeah, people
vehicles.
are still violent. People are still like humanity is this terrible, awful thing that is self-destructive. And Tim says, I love my guns. And I'm fine with you loving your guns. Like I said, the only thing I want to see in gun control is proper monitoring, I guess, is really as far as it goes. Like, I always go to the car comparison. You have a title to your car, and there's, the DMV has that car registered to you via its license and its VIN number. And then if any time you want to sell it to someone, you have your little title and you go sign. I sold it to this person. And then that person needs to go to the DMV and say, I bought this car. It's in my name now. Here's all the stuff. There you go. And so if anything happens to a car, if you leave your car on the side of the road, they know whose car it is, or at least whose car it was last. And so that's all I want. Personally, that's all I want to see happen with firearms, is just that level of system. So, yeah.
Right, and Tim, we're not saying that all of your guns are bought legally. That would just mean in the future you would have to buy your guns legally, but also have a license for it.
Right. Well, and also, like, my system does not prevent this from happening. But also, as Tim mentioned, there's no way to prevent this from happening. People are horrible people. People do bad shit. This guy, by definition, was a terrorist that did terrible-ass things and is dead, and hopefully we can recover from it. Although I do not like everyone trying to push the political agenda because of this. There are roughly 60 people, and probably more than that are going to be dead, over 500 injured. There are other things to worry about right now, because pushing a gun control agenda on this is not going to work.
No, it's not.
It won't.
Never has in the past either.
Like, the mindset of America will not allow such a thing to happen. There is a reason that several other countries around the world see us as, yeah, because that's a pretty good summarization of a good amount of America.
And I don't know.
Vivi, you are not the only one here without a gun. Neither Nathan nor I own a firearm.
Neither you have a firearm. I own a gun.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I was given a gun when I was a child by my father. He is holding on to it, but I guess I technically own the gun.
Okay, I guess I do technically own a gun, but I have not seen it or touched it in like 4 years.
Same.
So, when it comes to that, I just say I don't own a gun because yeah.
I also own several pellet guns.
Although, I do realize just my brain went hypocrite, because that 20 gauge break open shotgun, I have no identification for it whatsoever.
I think I still have identification for mine. I have a 22 that you can take the barrel off. It's a break barrel, but you can take it off and put a 410 shotgun barrel onto it.
Sure.
It's supposed to be for like learning purposes for children, and it was great learning for me. I don't know. I don't have it. My dad has it right now.
Sure. I'm not sure how I feel about this, but so I added this in here because it is an important addition, I guess, is that the stocks for the people who make guns had a drastic jump after this happened.
Yeah, because people thought that people are thinking guns are gonna get taken away.
Right. Which is an interesting byproduct.
You would have more dead police officers walking around trying to take your guns away. So taking your guns away is not going to happen.
No. It won't happen.
People are just going to be like, no, this is my gun. They're going to fire. Especially up here in Alaska.
Oh, it's not even just Alaska. It's everywhere.
I know. I'm saying especially up here, though, because, fuck.
I also don't agree with the rhetoric that people push that only Republicans like guns. I know a ton of people in all of the other political parties that like guns.
Because I like guns.
I'll admit, it's fun to just shoot shit with them. Mm-hmm. There's something about the power of the device you are holding that is awe-inspiring. Every time.
I honestly feel the same way about cars. Because you can very much kill someone with a car just as easily than with a gun.
I think the difference is the number of people that you can kill with a gun as easily compared to cars.
I really feel like it's because cars have been super normalized because everyone's driving them around. Not everyone's walking around firing guns around.
Sure. So either way, this was without a doubt an immense tragedy and one that'll be talked about for a very long time. The thing that makes me also upset about this is I believe that this will be talked about substantially more and for a longer amount of time than Pulse.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, I mean, shit, we even still hear things about Sandy Hook.
Yep. So. Either way, let's move into the post-show.
I'm Mr. Meeseeks! Look at me!
Nathan, what'd you care about in the last 72 hours?
There's 3 important things, right?
Okay, I dropped one of them in.
Yeah, one. I'm gonna go with that one. That one's McDonald's is officially bringing back Szechuan sauce.
Boy, 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 boy!
Rick and Morty did it, guys. Bringing back the sauce, even though it didn't have to last 9 seasons. It was only a season, and then we brought it back. That's amazing.
Good job, Rick and Morty.
So that one's great. I like that. The other thing is Tom Petty is potentially dead.
He is not dead currently.
Yeah, the last I heard is that the LAPD can't confirm Tom Petty's death, but he is still in the hospital.
Right.
So,
he was discovered unconscious and suffering from cardiac arrest, and that is the last we know.
So he could very well die still.
Yep.
So, yeah. Tom Petty's awesome. I enjoy him. Another thing, though, and this is the one that I really, really cared about, is that my grandmother had a very successful surgery this last weekend.
Awesome.
She's got this giant scar across her throat, and it looks fucking metal as shit.
What was the surgery for?
She had a tumor that was pressing up against her esophagus.
That sounds awful.
So they removed the tumor.
I love modern medicine and science.
On top of that, she's come back cancer-free, so theoretically, we should be fine now.
Even better.
So
that is one of my favorite things to hear or talk about is successful science or new breakthroughs in science, especially when it comes to medicine, because God, is that shit cool.
Yeah, she's a little pissed off. She's not as reactive in one of her arms, but that's because they also had to do something with that arm.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm just happy she's out.
Thing I cared about in the last 72 hours actually happened in the last 24 hours, and that is my D&D group finally reassembled itself.
Oh, congratulations.
Yep, we have 4 players now. 2 of them are new to the group, but not new to the people in the group.
Who are they?
So we have Adam and Zach, who we had before, and then we filled in 2 more with Nathan Nelson and Josh Swan.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
I'm glad Zach and Swan are making up.
They're trying. So that's nice. We decided we're going to play 4th edition, which I'm excited about. It was interesting because we voted between Pathfinder 4th and 5th, and it was like Pathfinder and 4th literally had the same number of counts towards them, and 5th had none.
Man, I honestly don't think 5th is as bad. It's just, I don't know. The way I view 5th is that it's closer to being in an actual medieval setting.
Sure. I don't know. I have a personal love for 4th edition, so, but they wanted to try something else. So, I mean, we just got done playing 2 years of Pathfinder, and Adam really wanted to try something else, but he had more interest in 4th than 5th. So,
well, that's because 5th is still kind of similar to Pathfinder.
Where
so I feel
4th
like
is
if
an
you're
entirely different beast.
Yeah, dude, 4th Ed is so fucking. It might as well have been a different game altogether.
People suggest that 4th edition would have sold better if it wasn't called D&D.
Well, that happens to a lot of things. Like the second Amnesia game was not a bad game. Was it a bad Amnesia game? Yes. The second Legend of Zelda game ever, the Legend of Link, was that a bad game? No. Was it a bad Zelda game? Yeah.
Final Fantasy 15.
Right. Was it a bad game? No. Was it a bad Final Fantasy game? Honestly, it's a lot better than a lot of the other ones.
Yeah, but a lot of people, because it doesn't fit the normal Final Fantasy formula, they just, nah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like everyone can be Pokemon and follow the same formula for, 20 plus years and still be very, very lucrative.
Yeah. So, anyway, though, that is the show. Everybody, I'm not going to plug all the support stuff today. I'm just going to ask you to just not be a dirty shitbag.
I think today, instead of donating to us, find somebody that you can donate to that will help in one of these scenarios. Whether
it's Vegas, whether it's Puerto Rico, honestly, Texas and Florida don't need that much help anymore. Really, it's the places that can't recover. The reason that Puerto Rico is so bad, they don't have the ability to recover. Like,
their infrastructure was already shot anyway.
yeah, Florida had power within 24 hours. Puerto Rico was not expected to have power for 6 months. So instead of helping us out in any way, consider donating to help Puerto Rico. Go and donate blood, especially if you're near Vegas. They have a drastic shortage of blood because of how much crap has happened regarding that shooting. They are basically out of O negative. So if you can go donate blood, go donate blood. Even if you're not in the area, go donate blood anyway, because hospitals always need blood, literally always.
And honestly, you'll never fucking know when there's a thing that occurs in your area that will actually need it.
So just go do what you can to help. If you can't afford to donate, then just go give blood. It costs nothing. You might even get stuff depending on your local drives.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, depending. Like, a lot of the time, people are just donating blood for free. But if you're donating plasma, you oftentimes get compensated money. Yeah. And plasma's always in need as well.
So, in regards to that, though, we are going to get out of here, everybody. That is your 359th dose of the internet. I am Michael Schwan.
And I'm Nathan Wood.
Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.